Hi, today I'd like to explain how to sprout bird seed. This is specifically for budgies, but it can be applied to pretty much any parrot. So I'm going to go through a list of ingredients, and the first one, of course, is bird seed, and we don't need to worry about what the brand is. Whatever bird seed you use should be good as long as it's fresh. The next thing we're going to need is a container to put it in. And I like to use a nice wide lidded one so that it doesn't get stuck if it's a small top on it. So wide lidded container, anything will really do. And the next thing is some apple cider vinegar, any brand, doesn't matter. And another thing is a strainer and some paper towels. And also we want to get a bowl, and I choose a bowl that's got the dips on the sides because it holds a container really well on an angle, which is something that's really important, is keeping the container on an angle once you start the sprouting process. And the last thing that you're going to need is a rubber band, and that's everything that you're going to need to sprout seeds for your budgie. Okay, so the first thing you do is you get your bird seed and you pour it in. Maybe for your first experiment with it, you don't want to go too hard and put too much in. So as you can see, this is probably about half a cup of bird seed in there. And the next thing we do is add a bit of water. Okay, so now I've added some water, and I've filled it up about 3/4 of the way. It doesn't really matter as long as it's got enough water to soak in properly. And so the first step is we're going to leave this for between 12 and 24 hours. And if you want to change the water once or twice, that's fine, but you don't really need to. You just let it soak and absorb the water for 24 hours. And then we'll be back for the next stage. And I also forgot to add that after you've put the water in, you put a paper towel over the lid and then use a rubber band to secure it. And that just stops anything from getting into the mix, so that it's got less chance of getting bacteria or bugs or anything like that in it. So just leave that now for 12 to 24 hours, and then we'll come back and get on with the next bit. Okay, it's been 24 hours now, and the seeds have been soaking, and I've just rinsed them off and put them back in the jar. And now I'm just going to add a little bit of the apple cider vinegar, just a little bit. And the reason to add this is because it helps kill any bacteria or anything else that's growing. So now I'll put it in the sink and fill it up with a bit of water. And then we just let that soak for about 1 to 2 minutes. You really don't need to leave it any longer than that. I also like to just give it a bit of a stir to help it mix up a bit so that it's evenly spread throughout there. And so now I've got it in the strainer, and I'm going to really wash it thoroughly to get out the bacteria and the apple cider vinegar and any other gunk that's hanging around. You want to give it a really good blast and make sure that it's really getting clean. And it's the most important stage. To make sure it's clean is at the start, because if anything goes wrong now, it'll stuff up the whole lot. Make sure you give the container a good rinse out as well, and make sure you do this every time you rinse them. And already within 24 hours, some of these have started to sprout, but all because it's a different mix of different seeds, they'll all germinate at different rates. So some will shoot really rapidly and others will take a bit of time. It's also a good idea to have a smell of the seeds At first you'll notice that it smells kind of a little bit sweet. It's hard to explain, but once you get used to the smell, you'll be able to know straight away if something's wrong, because it won't smell quite as nice. It'll smell quite horrible actually. So the last step is to just put a new paper towel over the top again with the rubber band, and then you want to tip it gently. It doesn't matter if the seeds are sitting up here or if they're sitting down here, but as long as it's on that angle, so it's got the ability for the water to drain out. And this pretty much is how you sprout. So every day all you do is you rinse them out again, use the apple cider vinegar if it starts smelling a bit funny, or if you just want to be cautious about it, and yeah, keep rinsing it, putting it back in after you've rinsed the container, and turning it on its side, and make sure not to leave it in any direct sunlight. And if it's quite hot, you know, if it's summer or something, you might want to rinse them twice a day, but otherwise, if it's kept in a cool, shady place, once a day is just fine. And after about 3 days, you should have sprouted seeds for your birds. You can feed them the seeds as they're sprouted right now, because it was about half a cup that I put in. It's already gone to about a cup because it's absorbed all the water. It's okay to feed your bird these seeds, but you're pretty much just increasing the water in their food rather than the enzymes that are created when the seeds all start to really sprout and grow. So that's it. That's how to sprout.